bring the most value in the world.
The world revolves around value.
Add value to people.
Want success? Model the best. Today, let's learn one of the most common rules that successful people follow. Add more value. Also, if you want to learn how to build confidence like Gary Vee, Kanye, and others, check out my 254 series. It's in the description below. It's free, and you'll love it.
The reason people aren't patient is they value other people's opinions too much.
If you know artists, there's only one thing you can say, give, or ask them when you see them. There are two words. Thank you.
Two things I want to do. I want everybody to get out their cell phone because we are trying to all build our social media presence here and wherever you are. So if you get out your phone and follow Joe Hyde on Instagram and like the Facebook page for PR and Roofing. My question.
Bro, hold on. Did you really think that was a good idea?
Hey, we're here.
No, bro, I honestly think that that was one of like the worst moves I've ever seen because and I'm not trying to razz you. I am talking. I'm trying to give you love. I love the passion to win. The problem is you tried to close on the first move. You brought them no value and you asked them to bring you value. Like you gave, like I will stand up here and give a load of value and never mention one time for any of them to follow me, and a lot more of them will follow me than are gonna follow that bullshit move that you just did. I get it, but this was back to the question that just happened, and this is why I want you to win. That move is always gonna lose. You can't go, tonight when you go out in Vegas and you see a pretty girl at the bar, you can't go up to her and the opening move is like, here's my key, let's go. But that's what you just did. Let him hold it. But that's what you just did to this audience with business.
Because this is an industry where it's kind of like dog eat dog world. So why are you succeeding and giving all your secrets away at the same time?
I mean, because doing the right thing is the right thing. Karma is practical. You know, I heard somebody rant earlier, right? That's like, hey, when I win, I don't think it's coming out of you. The guy that closed, I couldn't know who was on stage, but I believe in that, right? Because I love the idea of 85 people here going and listening to me, winning. I didn't make anything for it, but it then becomes brand. If she goes out and listens, and then 2 years later, she's having dinner with a friend, and she's talking about what happened to her life, that friend might be the CEO of GE. You know, I'm playing with the biggest brands in the world. I'm not trying to monetize my audience. I'm trying to like just bring the most value in the world and let that lift all my other opportunities. So I think giving away your best secrets is the greatest strategy for two reasons. Karma is practical and leads to more business, but here's the secret, and it's even funnier. 99% of these people are not gonna do anything about it. Somewhere about 5 or 6 years ago, I realized this fact. Holy shit, people aren't gonna do anything with this. So f it. Like there's still gonna be plenty for me, and I'm gonna be the most lovable guy ever. I love this. So, you know.
People came to my website because they were interested in, well, before the political stuff blew up, I had 1 million views on YouTube, which isn't nothing. 1 million of anything is a lot. But then when the political scandals started to break, then people came for them, but stayed for the content. And so, and that's been really useful. Yeah, well, it's been, well, and it's not that surprising. Well, you know, because of what you do, it's like, there's a great hunger for information that is practical and useful and that helps people find meaning in their lives and orient themselves. There's a great hunger for that. And most of my lectures were derived from solid psychology, some of it experimental, some of it biological, some of it from the domains of neuroscience, a lot of it from great clinicians. It's not surprising that people find it helpful because, well, great clinicians were great because they were really helpful. And so to distill that and to offer it to people in a digestible form, to have that have a good effect on them, well, that's what you'd expect. That's what the whole discipline is about. And so that's been great.
when you went off on your own, that's kind of the point I think people, most businesses fail at the beginning, in the first few years. So there you are on your own. What do you think were the keys to success those first few years by yourself?
Obsession with adding more value than anybody else ever dreamed of. I mean, my entire life from the very beginning days was, how do I do more for others than anyone else on earth? How do I give them experiences that are lasting? How do I create change where change was impossible? How do I take somebody who's been in therapy for 7 years and in an hour produce that result? And the way I did that was by challenging traditional psychologists and psychiatrists and getting on national radio and saying, give me your worst patient, I'll handle them in an hour, which was pretty abrasive. As a young kid, you can get by with that stuff. But the best part was I backed it up. And so one of the first interventions I did was in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I got on the radio. And this psychiatrist got on the phone and just on the radio live and just thrashed me. You're a liar. You're a charlatan. People like you should not be allowed on the radio. And I said, sir, I said, are you a scientist? He said, of course, I'm a physician. I said, well, a scientist would never make an assumption. And I said, you've never met me, right? No. You've never met my clients? No. And you're calling me a liar on national radio. I said, you must be stating your hypothesis. Your hypothesis is that I'm a liar and a charlatan, and if you're stating a hypothesis and you're truly a scientist, you got to be willing to test it. Am I right?
Yep.
He goes, well, yeah. I said, great. I'm doing a free guest event at the Holiday Inn tomorrow night. Anyone hearing my voice can come. I'm going to do a series of demonstrations, and I'm going to take one of your clients and turn around. I said, share with me somebody that you've never been able to change. I said, I'm sure you got plenty of those. You want to play hardball? I can play hardball. He goes, well, I have patients that aren't ready to change yet. I said, I haven't found any. Of course, I've done 3 therapies total. But I had so much belief. So long story short, he told me this woman he'd been working on for 7 years with a snake phobia. A phobia is not just a fear, it's an uncontrolled response to fear. So like, she dreamed the snake would bite her on the face, and then the adrenaline would shoot through her body and wake her up. And this would happen 4 to 7 times a night.
Oh my goodness.
7 years. So, he was put in a corner, and so he brought her down, and it took me about 15 minutes. At the end of it, I tested first, and she's screaming and shaking, and then I wrapped the snake around her. And that changed my entire career, because in that moment, there was no question. Everybody in the audience saw that this woman is transformed. And I said, you've been treated by that psychiatrist for how many years? Wow. 7 years. Then I took on sports stars. Then I turned around, I did some work with Mother Teresa and Nelson Mandela and Bill Clinton. And as the years went by, it just built and built and built.
You have to understand the world revolves around value. So if you understand the world revolves around value, the business of making money is nothing more than a value and value exchange. Once you realize that, that is how money works, and that's how the game works. So what we do is we trade our time, if you're an employee, our products or services, our expertise as an entrepreneur, right? Our skills, we trade that and exchange that with other people for money. What it means is the more value that you could provide, the more money people are willing to trade you with it. It's that simple. So instead of just focusing on, I want to make more money, I want to make more money, being all desperate and all panicking, what you focus on is, instead of becoming a person of success, become a person of value. If you want to make more money, the question you have to constantly ask yourself is, how could I be a person of value? How could I become more valuable? How do you become more valuable to the marketplace? Once you understand this, money is not an issue, because the marketplace is always willing to pay good money for good value. And you notice people who don't make a lot of money, people who are struggling, or people making minimum wage, they are easily replaceable. This is someone working at a restaurant, a waiter, waitress. Maybe they do a very good job, they work very hard, but if they leave or the boss, the manager fires them, they could be easily replaced. When you could be easily replaced, you are not very valuable. The more difficult you are to replace, the more valuable you are. That's the secret that will guarantee if you'll be broke or you'll be rich.
This is the secret to getting ahead in business and in life. Bring value first. You want somebody to notice you? Bring value first. You want somebody to pay attention to you? Bring value first. You want somebody to buy from you, to hook you up with a partner, to talk about you in a speech on stage? Like, you want people to do stuff for you? Bring value first. Don't go to them asking for help first. Go to them with value first so that they're stumbling all over themselves to try to find a way to help you out too. Bring value first. Most people will never figure this out. Most people will constantly be begging other people, be tweeting at them and DMing them and saying, please help me, please help me, please help. And I feel so bad. I feel frustrated, and I feel so bad for these people who are just asking for help, because you know that they need help, but they're going about it all wrong. By spamming people and begging for help, you're not going to get it. Instead, focus your efforts. Like, you will never get it. You will never get it this way. You're not going to get to your outcome. You're not going to solve this problem by begging people. You'll get a little bit. Like, even beggars on the street get a little bit. You'll get a little bit, but you'll never get to where you want to go, ever, by begging. Instead, flip it and spend your time trying to figure out how you can bring value to other people first, so that they can't wait to help you out too.
You don't realize I am so frustrated. Like, I am so frustrated. Like, I've got so much I want to give. I've got ideas on color palettes. I've got ideas on silhouettes. And I've got a million people telling me why I can't do it. You know, that I'm not a real designer. I'm not this. I'm not a real rapper either. I'm not a real musician either. Like, I don't know how to play the piano. Like, I'm an artist. I went to art college. I went to art college and was looked at like I'm soft because I like wore like Italian clothes. You know what I'm saying? When I'm rapping in front of camera and my pants is tight, trying to spit a verse for Cam. You know, so that's the same when I'm sitting there, you know, like sitting there at a fashion show. Like, I'm there because I appreciate Phoebe Philo. I appreciate Raf Simons. I appreciate Ricardo Tisci, and I look at them as my peers, as creative people who dedicate their entire life to making something better for the world. Let me explain what anybody that knows an artist, and you know someone that's giving that, if you know an artist, there's only one thing you can say, give, or ask them when you see them. There are two words: thank you. There's no, why didn't you do this? Yo, I want that. What's that? No, we dedicate our entire life to making our current time and civilization better, to adding something to the culture. And there is only two words that you can say: thank you.
Something I do have to ask you is, what's it like to wake up and be Donald Trump? When you're shaving in the mirror and you're looking at yourself, you're an icon. What is that like?
Well, I'm honored by your question, but I don't really think about it that way. I mean, I wake up and I do shave and I do use a mirror and all of that stuff. But, you know, I go to work. I'm in my office early. I leave late. I work hard. I employ a lot of people, lots of education, lots of everything I supply for people by giving them a check every week. Lots of health care, frankly, and it makes me feel good. I know a lot of people where a couple of my employees, their wives have cancer and they're being well taken care of because they have a good program under the Trump Organization, and I'm happy about that. So I just feel I've done a really good job. I've created a lot of quality, and I've given a lot of people jobs.
When somebody comes and says, John, I want to be a leader, I always ask them the question, why? Why do you want to be a leader? I mean, do you want to be a leader because you want a corner office? Do you want to be a leader because you like to be in control? Do you want to be a leader because you love to be in the front of the pack? Do you want to be a leader because you want to have a good parking place? Why do you want to be a leader? Because leadership isn't easy. Leadership a lot of times isn't fun. Leadership a lot of times is kind of lonely. There's only one reason to be a leader, and that is to add value to people. And you and I will only add value to people if we truly value them. I have a nonprofit organization, Equip, that's trained almost 2 million leaders internationally around the world. And I kid you not, as I go to developing countries twice a year and I travel internationally and I sit down, sometimes I have the privilege of being in the offices of presidents of countries. And as I watch these developing countries, the thing that is the cardinal sin among leadership so much is that they have leaders of their countries that truly don't value the people. And if you and I don't value people, we will devalue people. Number two, if you want to add value to people, you have to make yourself more valuable. You just have to get better. You have to keep growing. You have to keep learning. You have to keep developing. Why? Very simply. If you're leading the pack, you've got to be able to give what you have, and you can't give what you don't have. And so therefore, you've got to put a lot of good stuff in so that you can pass it on to others and share with them and add value to them. Thirdly, if you want to add value to people, you have to know and relate to what other people value. You and I have to walk slowly through the crowd. We have to listen. We have to care. You see, great leaders are first of all listeners, and then they're learners, and then they're leaders. They really do take their cue from the people. They understand that the key of leadership is connecting with the people that you lead, and the only way that you and I ever connect is by caring enough to listen. Number 4 is very important to me. When I'm speaking in the business community, I always share with them that for them there are 3 ways to add value to people, but for me there are 4. And I tell them I'll give them the 3. And so I'll spend maybe an hour doing those 3 things I just shared with you, talking about how to add value to people. And inevitably, when I'm done with the 3, somebody raise their hand and say, "John, you said that for you there was 4, but you said there's only 3 for us." I said, "Yes, it's nothing personal, but this is about my faith, and so I don't really need to share this with you. It's because I'm trying to help you, and I don't want to cross boundaries with you." And inevitably they'll say, "But John, tell us what yours is." And I'll say, "Well, okay, you can hear mine, but don't write it down. In fact, don't listen." Because number 4 for me is, if I really want to add value to people, I have to do the things that God values.
I played sparingly. You know, my rookie year, I played a lot of special teams.
Yes. But you catch a couple passes that year, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I had I don't know how many yards I had. No, I think I had like 4 touchdowns my rookie year. But again, I started to kind of just familiarize myself with the playbook, Steve Young, just the culture of professional football in itself. And so I go in my second year, again, going into the offseason, I'm preparing myself just to be a vital part of value to the team. And so we go into my second season, first game, we go down to Tampa. Jerry Rice, I think he runs a reverser or something, and Warren Sapp, I think, just beat our defensive end, got him from behind, and he tears his ACL. From that point on, I mean, I get thrown into the fire.
Here we go.
And so that's where that preparation, you know, that and just me familiarizing everything that I had done my rookie year, leading up to my second year, I was preparing myself for this moment.
I love it.
And if I wasn't prepared, then I wouldn't have been able to add value to the scene, to the team. You see, I didn't say success because I hadn't. There was no level of success at that point.
Wow.
I was still trying to add value.
Wow.
I was trying to add value to the Jerry Rices, to the Steve Youngs, to the J.J. Stokes, to the organization, to the team itself.
Wow.
So I hadn't really experienced any success at this point. I was still trying in that mode of proving myself that I could play at the professional level.
What's your ultimate dream for Dropbox years out? It probably feels like you're living the dream now, right?
Yeah, so I have to admit that
far out.
Whatever you said earlier, billionaires, bottles, and babes, I thought that would be...
You thought I would forget about that?
Yeah, when I first started, I thought, like, oh, wow, that would be, like, really interesting.
Really? Interesting maybe is
interesting,
a weird
maybe the wrong word.
Choice.
But actually the fun part is, like, you know, being in a Starbucks and like seeing, looking over someone's shoulder on their laptop and seeing a little blue box. Or getting all these emails from people who are like, you helped me recover my stolen laptop, or I saved all my wedding photos in here, and I lost my laptop died, and you saved it. And for me, the really exciting thing is like, there are very few things you can do that reach like hundreds of millions of people. Especially if you're an engineer and you build things. This is like, for us, this is like the Super Bowl. Being able to build something at this big of a scale.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip with Dave Meltzer on how to provide more value that I really think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Time to move from just watching a video to taking action in your life or business. Here we go. Question number 1. Who are 10 people that you need to add more value to this week? Number 2, make a list of one thing you can do for each of those 10 people to bring that value. And number 3, which of the 10 can you start on immediately after this video?
We're goal-oriented people.
Yes.
Right? We played sports, you know, it's all about winning.
Yep.
And so what I used to do is I'd attach, once I graduate high school, I'll be happy.
Yep.
If I get a scholarship to college, I graduate. All these, and every time it occurred, I still was in the same state of mind.
Yes.
What I learned to do was detach the happiness, this bliss, from the outcome. Now, the difference is most people get concerned like, well, how can you be motivated without an outcome? No, no, no. I have outcomes and I pray every morning. This is a truly abundant thing. My first prayer every morning is, may God put in front of me 10 people that I can help.
That you can help.
That's
that
all.
you can help.
That I can help. And I've shifted the paradigm of value, understanding outcomes and happiness. So I used to, and maybe you'll understand this, I'm a great salesman.
You are.
I can oversell, back end sell, and lie to you. I can cheat to you. I've done it when I was in my 20s. I would shade the truth. You know, I sold stuff.
Sure.
And it didn't make me feel good. And what happened was I created a void for me to fill all the time. I'd make you promises and I'd live on this premise, I'm going to exceed everybody's expectations. That's my goal, right? From the start. First of all, talk about bullshit.
Yes, right.
How many times have you actually, in a business deal, exceeded the other party's expectation? Very rarely.
Very rarely, especially if you've set those expectations artificially high.
Which I did.
Right, the way you exceeded is by not setting them.
Right. By not charging or selling it, and that's what I started doing. But what was cool was, I started with this prayer and then I said, what if I started the day with this energy that God put a whole bag of $100 bills in front of me, and my job all day long was to trade $100 bills for 20. So whatever I did was I was going to provide value. As a father, as a husband, as a business partner, as a philanthropist, and just, you'll see, I ask everyone, either unconditionally, how can I be of service?
You do. You said it to me the first time we spoke.
How can I be of service? I mean it.
Yeah, I know you do.
And I know that that's my biggest blessing. I'm not lazy. I wake up at 4 a.m. I work really hard for others. But I also, when I work hard for others, I have my intention, my focus on what I want.
Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.